for you about the Mass.
Yeah.
You recently discovered the traditional Latin Mass, correct?
Yeah. It was about 4 years ago. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I've been red-pilled. Yes.
What was your experience with that?
With the red pill.
With the red pill of the traditional Latin Mass.
Yeah.
And how do you see that in comparison to the new Mass?
Well, look at the attack that they're putting on the traditional people now. And I'll say this, that you can tell where the traditional people are because they have the big family vans out front of church during Holy Mass, right? It was about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, when I first was transferred to St. James, in a group of traditional, faithful young families. So very young. Came up and said, would you celebrate the traditional Latin Mass? And my father's heart said, well, my children need something, so yes, I will do my best to feed you. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into because I didn't know what I didn't know. And then all of a sudden, they're giving me these long practices. Was it 73 different ways I can commit a mortal sin if I don't do it correctly?
And you're talking about the rubrics of the
traditional Latin Mass. Because you don't get sloppy up there. You don't get careless, because every act you do up there is a mini homily in itself. I've said that before because it's true. Even something so simple as putting your hand on the bottom of the chalice when you take the pall off, so that you don't accidentally bump the precious blood and spill it. If I believe that's a precious blood and I get careless with it, and I spill, well, then that is a sin.
So you believe, as a matter of fact, it's more reverent. It's a more reverent form.
Well, it's a protecting form. I mean,
no, but the traditional Latin Mass and the rubrics, the way you go about it.
Completely.
It is.
Absolutely, completely. So as I'm learning, as I'm going through it, it took me about a year and a half to really get comfortable knowing what's coming next and what everybody else is doing, because I was having a hard enough time figuring out what I was doing. But at one point during this training and my learning, what was thrown out by these despicable vipers from hell after Vatican II, I started getting mad and started saying something to that effect, how upset I was. And these two traditional Latin Mass people looked at each other and said, he's been red-pilled. And I didn't even know what that meant because I've never seen the movie.
Yeah, you were familiar.
So I did go on YouTube and saw that little 2-minute section where he's offering the blue and red pills
right.
But I didn't know what I didn't know. As 99.9% of Catholics out there don't know what they don't know. But you're trying to tell them and they don't want to hear, they don't want to listen. Change, they just anyway, so when you look at every act of that traditional Latin Mass being so sacred, so holy, so teaching of the truth of the faith, which all goes toward the Blessed Sacrament, and you realize that those people know 100%. Listen, here's why the bishops are losers, complete losers, every single one of you, because you don't call out the other ones, except for Strickland. With the Latin Mass, before Vatican II, after Vatican II, crazies, because even Vatican II said you must have Latin for the Latin Mass parts. That's what the document actually says. These losers afterward took it and did some terrible things to it, right? The Holy Sacrifice. So, what was I talking about? I just forgot. So I got mad at the bishops. Oh yeah, here it is. So before Vatican II and the crazies that took over afterward, 100% of Catholics went to Mass on Sunday, virtually 100%, and virtually 100% believed in the real presence. When I was in seminary, which had been in the early 2000s, that number was down to like 50%. Mm-hmm. And then as I'm going along since 2002, it went down. The number who didn't believe in the real presence went up to 60, then went up to 70 a few years ago, and last year was like up to 80% now don't believe in the real presence. Mm-hmm. So of course they don't think it's any trouble with receiving in the hand or Biden getting it. It's just a bread. It's just a symbol. Mm-hmm. At what point is a bishop of this country going to wake up and say, hey, this little experiment we tried after Vatican II was a complete, total failure. It was a mess up, is a polite way to put it, right? And yet they haven't. And so where's this all going to go? When Jesus said, when I come back, will I find any faith at all? Will I find faith in the fact that this is my body, blood, soul, and divinity, which you must have or you shall not have life within you? Okay. What number's next? 85%, 90%? Mm-hmm. Is that when these bishops, those 200 bishops will never get to the point where they'll say something about this and go back to the way Mass, the Holy Sacrifice. Look, you read Exodus 25 through 31, and you know how Almighty God commanded worship to be, and you're not doing it. Bishops. Vipers.
Would you blame the crisis? Is it not only on the on basically the post-Vatican II spirit of Vatican II.
yeah.
What
Nowhere in
about
the documents, as you well know.
what about Catholic education?
Yeah. Well, maybe you've heard me say. So I'm in Bishop Callahan's office, and he's berating me because I'm being divisive because I'm teaching people the truth, right? And so I said, listen, I've been teaching my people for 4 years. This is because it started going out, like on the net, because we had to live stream, because these lousy, filthy bishops locked people out of the church and locked them away from the holy sacrifice of Mass, locked them away from confessions, denied them Holy Communion. So that's why we had to live stream. And so suddenly he goes out there, and some people take offense. They don't like the truth. Well, too bad. Well, anyway, so Bishop's berating me because I'm divisive with I said, listen, my people, I've taught them for 4 years. 100% of them believe, in the real presence. That they are entitled to the meat. They want the meat and potatoes, and they're entitled to the meat and potatoes of true Catholic teaching. And he said to me, and I've said this many times, and I'll say it again, he said it right to my face, and this is virtually a quote. Yes, but 80% of Catholics don't know right from wrong because we bishops have failed to teach them for 50 years. So, no, he said that right to my face. So I, a lawyer, I can think quick enough on my feet sometimes when I'm not really mad. But I said, do you realize what you just said to me? You just said to me that 50% of Catholics, or 80% of Catholics don't know right from wrong because you bishops have failed to teach them for the last 50 years. I'm trying to do that and you're giving me a hard time. And he said, then he responded with, I'm very uncomfortable with this conversation. And then we went on to the next topic. But you see, there hasn't been the vipers who should know better, because the truth is unchanged, unchangeable, right? We know what the truth is, or if we don't know what it is, we can go find it, right? So they haven't catechized it. I'm so sick of this. Okay, well, we need to catechize our people, and they're still not doing it. Right?
What do you recommend to parents who want to educate their children?
Yeah. Well, you start with the catechism. Start with the Council of Trent's catechism. The Didache, right? Start with that one, because paragraph 2 says, you shall not harm that baby in your womb in any way, shape, or form. Bishops of the United States and around the world, go read the Didache part 2. It's just one small paragraph. Don't mess with the babies, right?
Is it, in terms of education though, is public education, Catholic education, classical education? There's classical Catholic schools now, like Chesterton Academy.
Yep. Oh yeah.
What flavor should they be going after? There's homeschooling.
There's homeschooling and classical education.
Yeah.
Public schools. Okay. This is a true story. I found this out this year. I'm back in Rapids. The Rapids Public High School. I forget what they're called. Lincoln. I think. A huge percentage, so I'm talking at least 100 of these kids, and the school is not that big, come to school each day dressed like an animal. So they'll have like fuzzy ears and a tail.
Right.
And some are cats and some are dogs, and you have to treat them like that. That's mental illness. Where are the parents? Listen, I bet if you tried to go to school dressed like a dog, like a puppy with your parents would have whooped you, and you would. Mine would. The nuns would have. They would have let me get. They would have given me the what for. This is how sick our public school systems are. In the whole bathroom issue or the locker room issue. Listen, I told you before. I think that the simple solution is you put XX on one door and XY on one door and the other door, and say, listen, science says you're either XX or you're XY. We don't need to go into your mental illness in your head, you mentally ill, stupid person, stupid parents who allow it. Look at your genetics. That's science.
So get them out of public schools.
Get them out of public schools.
Get them out of archdiocesan Catholic schools?
Oh, well, if 200 of the bishops who run 96% of the Catholic schools in this country are so far off base, why would you want to put them in a school that guy is the head of? Here's a perfect example.
Yeah, implementing Alpha.
Yeah. So, exactly, yes. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I had it in my mind to say a minute ago.
Yeah, the Alpha Catechism.
Yeah, which is pure BS. I can say BS.
It's not Catholic.
It's not Catholic. They try to sauce up and say, well, we changed it from the Protestant sort of. So no, it's not Catholic. We've got we don't need Alpha. We don't need another program. We've got the Didache, the Apostolic First Catechism. We've got the Catechism of Trent. We've got that big green book that came out under JP2. But I like the old Baltimore Catechism, really small with pictures. That's what I like to read.
Right.
And that tells me all I need to know.
Right.
But most Catholics don't even know that. But here's the thing, Catholic schools, so example, So I came to La Crosse, right? And I immediately ripped into the Catholic schools there because they didn't have the word Catholic on their signs. It was just Aquinas schools. I said, I'm not giving you another, and I get in trouble. Well, as if I care. Because I said, I'm not giving you another penny. It was to the tune of $250,000 a year out of my parish. I said, I'm not giving you another penny until you put the word Catholic on that sign. Well, you should have seen the uproar, but next thing you know, they put Catholic on the sign, right? But here's the deal. So those plays, those musical things that you do, they just did one at Aquinas this year, and it was The Sound of Music. That seems innocuous enough, doesn't it? Except that when it came to the time for the wedding, like Maria marries the captain or whatever it was,
Captain
the admiral,
Von Trapp,
it was captain. When they go, who performed the ceremony? Mother Superior.
Oh, gosh.
Now, that's in a Catholic school, right?
Yeah.
And I can tell you some other horror stories of what's going on down there.
Right.
80% say the Catholic Church's teaching is wrong.
Yeah.
Why am I paying $250,000 a year to support that school
They always
system?
have to revise it, don't they?
They have to revise it. So listen, don't send your kids to Catholic schools. There are precious few that are worthy. Assumption High School in Wisconsin Rapids, where I was, actually was Catholic.
Well, thank God for classical schools, and thank God for, the people who are able to homeschool their children.
Right.
That's what Father John Harden was saying. He was like, take them out of Catholic schools and homeschool them.
Well, Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen said, if you want your kids to lose the faith, send them to a Catholic school. That's 70 years ago. Do we think it's improved since then? No. Heck no. No. So that's going to get me in a lot of trouble, but I don't care. I mean, what more can they do to me, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much a done deal at this point.
Yeah.
All right, Father James, really appreciate the interview, and God bless you.
Well, God bless you too, and all that you do.
And all the work that you've done is, you have obviously a huge following, and people love you. So.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes,
though?
absolutely.
So I've had to think long and hard about that for the last 18 months or so, when nobody knew my name, and now a lot of people do. They may have heard me talk. I had a mask on, and that's really when it's kind of unusual when people recognize you. When you have your mask on, I was going through the airport, through TSA, and I was making a joke with the guy. You go through that airport, that thing that turns you yellow spots if you've got something on.
Right.
And I seem to light that thing up like a Christmas tree. And so I said before, well, I already know when I come through. And this time, there was no yellow of any kind. And I'm not kidding. If I didn't get 2, 3, or sometimes 6 or 7 yellow spots where they got to, do what they do. So I said, it's a miracle, right? Well, then this other TSA guy comes around from on the other side of this, the track machine that your bags go through. And he starts talking to me, trying to feel out whether I am who he now thinks I am. Now, I'm all messed up, right? So how did you know? He said, I can tell your voice. So the thing is, it's not me. And I have to make this crystal clear, because I am just still perplexed how this ever happened in the first place. But this is what bishops don't get. Why are they listening to me at all? It's because of the truth that is spoken, that resonates with their souls, those souls who are not blackened with sin. Those souls of those who strive to be holy, strive to grow in holiness, strive to lead their family in faith in holiness. Right? So I always want to be sure that we know whatever truth is spoken, that's what inspires them. And I think the only reason that they like seeing me is because I'm not one of the few that will speak it. But that's wrong, bishops. I shouldn't be the only one. You should be the one. You 200 bishops that didn't. In Baltimore, I'd say repent or burn in hell, but St. John Vianney said deathbed repentances are rare. So skulls on the floor of hell, there you go, I'm done.
Keep up a good fight. Thank you, Father.
God bless you.
God bless
Thank you.